Nintendo!
Sega!
That's how it's done.
Silence! Hello everyone. Today I would like to take a minute to talk about my current hyperfixation that I've been hyperfixated on for a while. You know of Sprite animations? Yeah, they're awesome. You know Super Mario Bros. Z? Also awesome. Had one of the best villains ever. Awesome fight scenes. Well, what if I told you there's been a bunch of people who have made successors to Super Mario Bros. Z? We got ones like Mario and Kirby Superstar Legacy, Freedom Fighters, but my favorite, and my personal favorite, that I have loved since the day it came out and still rewatch regularly, is Super All-Star Bros. One cannot express how much I love Super All-Star Bros. Between the fight scenes, how some of the characters are written, it is just so good. It is a celebration of everything fandom. You got Shattuck, you got Nazo, you got Silkadoom, you got Metallics, you got Mecha Sonic, you got everyone in here. And just to add, they have Sonic, Mario, and Freedom Planet. Like, bro, how much autism can you get? This is amazing. It is just a full celebration, everyone is here style story. And that's why I love it. Now, is it perfect? No. Do I think a couple of the characters need to be written better? Maybe. Will we get to that? Most definitely. But I just want to go over the story first, and then we'll go and dissect the story after we go over it. Timestamps are down below. If you want to skip to a certain section, you can do that. So, starting off, we have Eggman yapping about how he made the greatest creation ever and how he's just absolutely outdone himself and yada yada yada. We've heard it before a million times. It's gonna go bad for him. We all know that. Everyone here knows that. It's gonna happen. Then Eggman is surprised that Sonic shows up, which is kind of crazy because, I mean, you should kind of expect this Eggman. He's gonna show up eventually. Now, I do want to dissect this fight scene, aka action scene, because it is just so good. So let's get into it. This is probably the best start to a series ever. Like, this just goes so crazy. So we see Sonic's hand, and then we see his legs, and then we see his spikes all ready to just dash. We get this nice zoom in shot, and then he says, and then we're off into absolutely peak fiction. We get to a couple kicks as he just casually destroys these things. I would like to point out though that Sonic picks up a badnik and throws it on the ground, still keeping his momentum and still hitting everything he possibly can. Then we get a scene with Mecha Sonic Mark 1, don't get it confused with Mecha Sonic Mark 3 who comes up later, and this man is about to get destroyed. He kicks him into a scene shift, then spins into a ball, flips a couple of times, pops a pose on him, the Sonic Adventure pose, with nice at the bottom. Like, bro, me personally, I would never let that happen to me. And then we get a couple more kicks of some badniks, and then he goes to do a spin dash, and he cancels the spin dash, to dodge out of the way for no reason. There's literally nothing there. He's dodging nothing. He's dodging Casper right now into a hard spin dash that hits so crazy, which of course he kicks some badniks out of the way again and uses a sonic wind to open the way to the death egg. All this in the first 2 minutes. This stuff is absolutely peak, and this isn't even the best scene. There are many scenes yet to come.
That's what I'm talking about. Means something to me, man.
After he opens the way to the death egg, we get Tails trying to do the same thing he just did. I'm sorry, Tails, but if you just watched what just happened, you're not replicating that. You have a lot to live up to, buddy. And then we get Rouge trying to do it. I mean, you're not really that strong. Still stronger than Tails, but probably, yeah, you're kind of screwed here too. And then we get actual strong characters who can put up a fight. Knuckles and Blaze. I actually really love these 2 characters. These are probably some of my 2 favorite characters in like the series as a whole. Not just Sonic, but in this series, because I think they're both written very, very well. Especially Blaze. I feel like Space B really captured what Blaze's personality is really well, and I really like it. Though that's not my favorite written character in this. We'll get to him. And then Tails gets a really high energy reading and is confused of what it is. And then Amy's like, who just shows up randomly here, like, what is it, bro? And he is just shocked as we turn and we see the silhouette of the absolute GOAT, Mecha Sonic. And I am being 100% serious when I say this. Mecha Sonic is probably one of my favorite villains in all of like fiction as a whole. The way that Mark Haynes, aka Alvin Earthworm, was able to replicate how menacing this dude is. Every time he is on screen, he is just a force to be reckoned with. He immediately hits Sonic right in the gut, just to slam him back down onto the ground. Another thing I would like to point out here is that Mecha Sonic's sprites actually don't have a lot of sprites. The reason being is because his original sprites were on the Sega Genesis, so there's not really much movement. But Space B really takes advantage of this by animating the sprites. I don't know how you do this kind of motion. I'm not a sprite animator, but it looks great. It looks like an actual hand-drawn animation. And then Sonic tries to hit him, and Mecha Sonic just shrugs it off immediately. Then he gets hit back. Then he goes in for some really crazy fancy footwork, which, you know, kind of works until we get this nice zoom in shot, and we hear probably my favorite line of sorts from Jason Griffith's Sonic of this scream. I don't know where this scream is from. If anyone can say, please leave it in the comments, because it is just such a good scream. Anyways, Sonic starts hitting him and starts emanating dark energy, which Mecha Sonic is very confused and knows what this is. Very interested to see of why or how Mecha Sonic knows what dark energy is. Then they both charge a spin dash and clash for a little bit. Then Mecha Sonic finally gets a hit and starts a giant boost right into a nice combo, into a hit that is the one and only times we actually see a hit draw blood in this series, which is pretty crazy and kind of brutal. Now there is another time, but we'll get to that, and conveniently it's also Mecha Sonic who does this. Now I want to point out the up and down roller coaster we have been on right now. We start the scene by Sonic looking absolutely unstoppable and like nothing can beat him, just to get us hit hard, smacked into the face with Mecha Sonic, who is just completely destroying. I love this. Altering your expectations and really changing a lot in every scene, which I can really appreciate. Then Mecha Sonic smack talks Sonic. Tails is really scared. I mean, I would be too. And it looks like all hope is lost. We see a familiar soap shoe hit Mecha Sonic right in the face. And Knuckles is really confused on how he made it up here so fast. We all know he can teleport. You all know that. I don't know why any of y'all are surprised. Then Shadow's like, come on Sonic, you gotta leave. And Sonic runs away and calls Shadow best buddy. I know Shadow wanted to say something back. He just wanted to punch Sonic right in the face, but he knew that probably wouldn't be the best option. Then Shadow shows off the 6th Chaos Emerald saying, "Na na na boo boo," and then Mecha Sonic falls for the rage bait, really upset that he had the 6th Chaos Emerald the entire time. And then Shadow does something absolutely insane. I don't think Mecha Sonic can ever mentally recover from this. He says, "Sure, I'll hand it over," proceeds to throw the Chaos Emerald right at his forehead, then starts getting a combo. Like, I don't care if Shadow is the weakest person ever. If you get hit by that, you need to pack it up. Go home, it's over, you're out. And then we get a fight between Mecha Sonic and Shadow. Now, I like this fight a lot. It's definitely not my favorite. Again, we'll get to that. But what I like the most about this fight is the lack of music. It really shows that they're kind of evenly matched and how they both have silent personalities, but can get loud in a fight. What I also like is that the camera keeps changing positions, which makes it really interesting and kind of hard to watch at certain points, but honestly, I don't care. I don't really have eye issues or motion sickness, so I find it fine to watch. But I know some people, they might get a little disoriented. Then again, Mecha Sonic gets the upper hand and is about to unleash a Kamehameha. Bro really thinks he's Goku. He saw that last episode of Daima and said, "I can do that," and charges it up, but Shadow is able to teleport out of the way right in the nick of time. Then Sonic runs into the Death Egg and grabs 5 of the Chaos Emeralds that he has. And then Tails says that because of Mecha Sonic's full Kamehameha, the electrical field around the Death Egg is damaged, which could be bad for a lot of different reasons. Tails doesn't really specify, but it's basically dangerous. Then we cut back to Shadow saying that countless innocent lives have suffered. I don't understand what he's talking about because they're only on the Death Egg and no one has died yet. Anyways, Mecha Sonic laughs at his face, saying, "Well, you're getting a little angry." And yeah, Shadow is using his Chaos powers. This is Chaos Blast or Chaos Boost, whatever you want to call it, and just starts charging like crazy. He charges so much that Mecha Sonic actually deactivates for a second just to reactivate, and now that has spooked him. But then Shadow is also spooked by something. What is it? We'll find out. Then Knuckles gets a call from the Chaotix, basically saying that there is a giant abnormality on the Death Egg. Tails looks at his computer in utter shock. What is he seeing? Well, we'll see. Eggman starts talking about Project 08 and how he screwed it up over a malfunction and how they're all gonna die. Now, I really like this scene because of how eerie it is. It really puts you on the edge of your seat, not knowing what's going to happen. Shadow is shocked, Knuckles is shocked, Blaze is shocked. Sonic knows that he has to get to Shadow immediately because he's the only other person who's actually really strong here. And then we see darkness emanating from this capsule. It slowly opens up. We see an outline of blue spikes, then it cuts to black, and then we get a nice zoom-in jump scare of Silkadoom. Now, Silkadoom is from Sonic RPG, a fan series that is basically just what if Sonic had an RPG, but it was actually good. And Silkadoom is probably my second favorite fan character. Don't count Mecha Sonic, who technically isn't a fan character. Silkadoom is just amazing. All of his lines are so good. Sonic RPG Episode 10 just goes so crazy and has some of the best sprite animation I've ever seen. So if you haven't checked it out, I definitely would recommend Sonic RPG. Really fun. So I was going over the editing and I completely forgot to include what Silkadoom actually is. Basically, he is Sonic and Shadow's DNA fused into one being, which sounds really fanficky and a lot of fan fictions do that, but Silkadoom is the first and only one to actually do it good. Then we get Silkadoom appear from Shadow's back, and Shadow is just shocked. If you have Shadow shocked, then you must be the most strong character in the entire universe. He is just emanating aura right now. We get Mecha Sonic shocked, Sonic shocked, Then we get a nice scene transition, and then Silkadoom says, "Ah, my fellow siblings," which just goes so crazy. Then the screen cuts to black, we get some flashes of some characters, everything goes reverse. And then we get the intro. Now, the intro is really, really good. I will be covering the intro. If you want to skip me cover the intro, you can just use the timestamps. But I do want to go over the intro and dissect it because this series obviously isn't finished yet. So I would like to put my theories of what's going to happen in the plot, because the intro gives a lot of hints of what could happen in the future. We start off with just some basic shots of the characters, and the first shot I actually want to talk about is this one, with a bunch of the Archie characters. Now, I like how they're separated in the Archie universe. We have Scourge, Fiona Fox, and we have, this guy. I do know some things about him, but I haven't read all of the comics, so I am not super knowledgeable on him, but I do know what he is. Then we get a flash of a bunch of the future characters. We have Dr. Eggman, I'm gonna say negative. We have Silver, we have Metal Sonic 3.0, and whatever this is. I'm pretty sure this is a new original character, as I am not sure of where he is from or what fan animation he's from, or if he's from anything at all. I'm pretty sure he is an original character. Then we get the hardest shot of Mario I have ever seen, where he just has his cape on and then opens his eyes. I'm really interested to see of where this shot is going to be used in the story, because it just goes so crazy. Then we get the title, and then we get Sonic beating up some badniks, which is, you know, pretty average for him. Then we get a fight scene between Mario and Emerald, which I think might actually happen in the series because of some later on circumstances. Then we get a nice fight scene between Knuckles and Basilisk from Super Mario Bros. Z. I love Basilisk. I think the claws are so good. It's such a unique idea. And I love how he turns people into stone. And also his fight scene between Mario is some of the best in the entire Super Mario Bros. Z show. I would really like to see more of this guy and see how Space P's gonna do this. Then we kind of get a basic shot of Luigi kind of charging up. Who knows what he's fighting, but we have Yoshi in the background, so it can't be that strong. And then we get a shot of Aeon from Final Fantasy Sonic X, which is a pretty cool character. Definitely not one of my favorite ones, but I love the color scheme. Then we get a shot of Mecha Sonic of something we already seen. Then we get a very interesting shot of Mario and Sonic. Now, Mario looks kind of angry at Sonic, or maybe he's angry at what's behind Sonic or something. Who knows? This will be interesting to see, though. And then, if you know my channel avatar, and if you know what I've been advocating for, we have the Freedom Planet cast. All three of them right here. There are more that do show up later though. I will be going over the characterization of these people because I don't know if it is the best, but I am very, very happy to see them here because there are some cool stuff that happens. Freedom Planet 2 is literally my favorite 2D platformer of all time. And I hate that a lot of reaction videos I've seen don't know who these people are or have never played the games they're from.
Rouge? Tails? And now you, Mila? I don't even know who you are, but you already sound like an L.
And then we get a shot of Scourge fighting Gino of all characters, which honestly, I'm down for it. That's a really weird and obscure fight that I would never expect, but hey, this series is all about rule of cool and just do it because it's cool, so I'm here for it. Then we get a shot of just Supersonic, which literally could be from anywhere. I mean, Supersonic probably appears a lot in this series. Then we get a shot of this hedgehog, which I do know the name of, but I'm not going to say now because it is shown at the very end of who this is, but it is two people we already know about. Well, kind of, halfway. Then we get a shot of Bowser, which looks pretty cool. Then we get a really good shot of Darkspine Sonic. Darkspine Sonic is probably one of my favorite Sonic transformations. I love the pupils and I love the look, so I'm really excited to see Darkspine. Then we get another shot of Super Scourge fighting Enerjack. Now, if you don't know who Enerjack is basically kind of like an evil Knuckles who is really, really strong. So this will be an interesting fight. They're both from Archie, so I would really like to see this. Then we see Fleetway Supersonic, which if you don't know who Fleetway Supersonic is, it's basically Fleetway Comics' interpretation of Supersonic, which is a very interesting interpretation. Basically, it's if Supersonic was evil, and I think it's pretty interesting. I don't know how they're going to do it with normal Supersonic and also Dark Sonic being in this, so this will be an interesting thing to see. Then we get a shot of Superstar Mario, which is basically just Mario if you use the Chaos Emeralds or the Star Sprites, whatever you want to choose. Then we kind of have some basic shots. We got Mecha Sonic walking, then we get a shot of this guy again, and then we get Eggman being mad, you know, as he usually is. And then we get a crazy shot of Lilac. Now, this shot goes absolutely crazy. I don't know why, but it just looks so good. And I would like to point out, she's wearing in this shot her Freedom Planet 2 design, but her sprite is using her Freedom Planet 1 design. So I don't know if they're just going to switch and not say anything, or if there's going to be an edited sprite using her Freedom Planet 1 design, or if she's going to change clothes at all. Then we probably have the most hyped part about this series. I cannot wait to see whatever situation this is going to be. We have Chaos Shadow standing with the Dark Sonic, just emanating this insane aura that just goes so crazy. I love this shot. It just goes so insane. I would watch it a million times if I could. Then we get a shot of Mr. L, it seems. This could not be Mr. L, it could just be a different evil Luigi, but it appears to be Mr. L with a cape, which honestly is probably gonna go crazy. Then we get a shot of Silkadoom that we've already seen. Then we get another shot of the flying power-up Mario from Mario Galaxy fighting Aeon, which I think will be a pretty cool fight, but Aeon doesn't really fly, so I think this might be a little one-sided. Then we get a shot that we will talk about, but I will say, even though I don't like the situation this shot is used in, I do like Carol's face in the background. We see the Echidna tribe, which has some pretty unique designs, and honestly looks pretty cool. It's not just the same sprite layered on top of each other, so I'll be interested to see what this situation is used in. I assume it's going to be when getting the Super Emeralds, but we'll see. Then we get a shot of Fiona and Scourge, but Scourge's personality is very shown off here. Yeah, let's just say that. Then we get some of my favorite shots of the entire series. We get this nice shot of Burning Blaze, and then we get whatever this is. Now, this is clearly Lilac, but what happened to Lilac? Did she go like Dark Lilac? Is this the fan character that is like a reverse version of Lilac? I don't know, but it reminds me of Goku Black, and anything that reminds me of Goku Black, I'm all here for. So, I'm down with whatever this is. So I have gone down a massive rabbit hole of trying to figure out who this is. So my original assumption was it was just a transformation, but then to make sure I looked up Dark Lilac on the internet, and apparently it's a separate character. It's like Lilac if she was mind controlled. I even found a fan game, and I was like, oh, finally I can play the fan game to figure out who this is. No, the fan game is shut down. So I'm like, okay, the fan game is just gone. So I was like, all right. Maybe there's something else. Apparently there's a Wikipedia page about it. Not much to it, just some art and stuff. And then I looked more into it. Apparently there is like a Goku Black parody of it where she has like a Super Saiyan Rose and she fights like metallics and there's like crazy lore and stuff. I don't know what's going on. I don't know who this is. I'm assuming it's a transformation. That's what I'm going to assume it is. If anyone knows what it is, please let me know because I have no idea what this is. But it looks cool, so I'm gonna go with it. So yeah, that's just kind of been what I've been doing. Just kind of look for who this is, because I don't know who this is. While I was researching this, I found out that there's 2 Freedom Planet plushies, and I missed out on them, and I can't find them anywhere, not even on eBay. And then now I'm kind of upset about that. And then I found out that there's a physical copy of Freedom Planet on the Switch, and I looked how much it is. and it goes for... Ah! Then we get a shot of Super Scourge, which goes crazy as well. Then we get a shot of Hyper Shadow, which, like, both of these shots I have used in profile pictures in the past. That's how good they are. Then we get a nice clean shot of Dark Sonic reaching out his hand, which just, you know, goes pretty crazy, as always, as all these shots do. I'm probably sounding like a broken record, but they're so good. Then we have Mario going Hyperstar Mario, which, if Superstar Mario gives you any indication of what that is, you probably know what Hyperstar Mario is. Though I will like to point out, his aura literally emanates off the entire Earth. Like, dude, there's no way Hyper is that strong in this series. That's gonna go crazy. Then we get a split second of a cool fight I am excited to see, which is Bowser versus Silkadoom. Now, if we see later, Bowser gets really, really overpowered in this series. And I don't know if they've explained it yet, but he is just super strong in this series. So I'm really, really interested to see this fight. Then we get, I'm pretty sure is a original character. It's probably going to be this other transformation that we saw earlier and basically be like a super form of sorts. Besides that, I have no idea what this is. Then we get a shot of Shadow powering up, and then we get a nice shot of Mr. M, which is basically just Mr. L, but like Mario, which will be pretty interesting to see. At least I'm assuming this is Mr. M. I really could be wrong here. Appears that he is fighting Nazo, so that will be an interesting fight. If you don't know where Nazo is from, he's a canceled Sonic transformation from Sonic X that appeared at the end of a trailer. People were really confused of what it could be, and the file of the trailer said Nazo. So they all named the character Nazo. We only found out recently that it was actually a transformation that was canceled, and there was a short series called Nazo Unleashed made about it, which is really good, and if you haven't seen it, please go watch it. It's awesome. If there's anything you can take away from watching this video, it's that you have a lot of homework to do after watching. Then we have a lot of characters on screen at once. We have Super Scourge in the background. Then we got Shattuck right there, which is the fusion between Sonic and Shadow, which is from Nazo Unleashed. Then we get Silkadoom and Enerjack. Now, it looks like these two people are going to be going at it for quite a while. Now, it looks like Scourge and Enerjack were fighting, and then Silkadoom is going to appear with Shattuck. So this will be an interesting fight to see, because that is going to be a lot of parties all fighting at once. Then we get a fight I wish I was able to see in Super Mario Bros. Z before it ended. Mecha Sonic versus Basilisk. Now, I'm pretty sure Mecha Sonic got this, but this will also be an interesting fight. And as we see later, the Chaos Emeralds are really, really overpowered in this series. So I will be really interested to see who actually comes out top on this. I'm assuming it's going to be Mecha Sonic, but I can't wait to see this as well. Then we get a very interesting shot. Now, this first character right here in the foreground, I'm pretty sure is a original character. I could be very wrong, but it appears to be an original character. I've never seen it before, and if I've never seen it before, it probably is an original character. Then we get a background shot of another original character that I know for a fact is original, as we'll find out in the end. Then we have Mephiles up here floating in the air. Then this is the first time I've actually noticed this. We have Metal Sonic 3.0, but he's Neo Metal Sonic 3.0, which would be a very interesting thing to see, and I wonder how this is going to play out. Then we have a shot that I am very, very scared for. Fiona Fox looks dead, and Scourge probably is not going to take that very lightly, as we see in the future. Scourge is a bit of a menace here. We have Lilac and Blaze fighting together, which honestly, that would be amazing. I think how Lilac's character is portrayed is not my favorite, and we will get to that. So I think Blaze could really, really bounce off of her very well, and they both are really strong in this series. But also I am worried of what's going to happen to them because of, well, Scourge doesn't look very happy. Then we get a kind of basic shot of Perfect Nazo turning around. Now, Perfect Nazo is when Nazo uses all of the Super Emeralds, which is really overpowered, and honestly, he's just so awesome. I love me some Perfect Nazo. I can't wait to see how he's going to interact in this series. Then we get a really good shot of Hypersonic that just goes so crazy. I love this shot. It's not my favorite of the shots as we've gone over those, but it's great. Then we get a shot of Lilac in a super transformation flying against some rocks in space. Now this super transformation, I've tried to do some research. As I can see, it is called Super Crystal Lilac, which honestly is a pretty cool name, and I'm assuming it's what happens when she gets all the Chaos Emeralds. Then we get a nice shot of Super Knuckles with Rouge in the background. It looks like they're on Angel Island, so maybe he's protecting his island from something. We get another good shot of Burning Blaze. I love that Blaze is getting a lot of attention here, because Blaze is probably my favorite female Sonic character, and she's just rule of cool the character, so I honestly am all for it. Then we get like the hardest shot of Luigi I've ever seen. I don't know why Luigi just goes with everything in this series, but it looks so good. Then we get a shot of Chaos Nazo, which is a transformation that was going to be used in the sequel of Nazo Unleashed, so it appears that Nazo is probably going to lose in some way and then come back in this transformation. Then we get an awesome shot of Dark Spine Mario, which I cannot wait to see Mario get all 7 world rings and just absolutely go ham on everyone with Dark Spine form. That is going to go crazy. Then we get one of my favorite transformations, Hyper Scourge. I think Hyper Scourge just works so well in black, and how you can only see his little pupils of his eyes. I love the white sweatshirt or jacket or whatever. It goes so crazy. I cannot wait to see this in action. Then we get Mario and Luigi fusing into Marluigi, which is awesome and I can't wait to see. But I can't tell if they're either fighting Shattuck or if they're just running with him. I hope that they're just running with him. I really hope that this doesn't become where they start arguing and fighting. And if it does, I hope it resolves really quickly, because there should be no reason to fuse against each other and fight. We're doing that in Battle of the Sprites, we don't need it here. Then we get the Master Toad from Paper Mario. Now, this is very interesting because this is a character I definitely would not expect to see in a series like this. He's basically a really hard optional boss in Paper Mario, which I can respect. I love the obscure characters. I love that Gino is here, and I love that he is here. I can't wait to see if there's any more Mario RPG characters. I would love to see some Dream Team characters, like maybe the Z-Keeper. Dream Team is my favorite game, so I would love to see it. Then we get another really good shot. This is of Apex Silkadoom, which is basically just Silkadoom's super transformation, which Silkadoom's super transformation is as powerful as a hyper transformation. Basically, Silkadoom just has the 1-up version of every transformation. Then we get a really good fusion of Knuckles and Shadow. Now, I love the dynamic that Shadow and Knuckles have in the original series, especially in Sonic X. So I would really love to see how this is gonna go. And I love the dynamic they have in this series too. Then we see probably the first instance of power-up fusion. Now this happens later on in the episode, but Mario fuses a fire flower with a hammer Mario. I really want to see this in the actual games. This has probably been my most requested feature for a 2D Mario game is power-up fusion. So I honestly cannot wait to see this. Then we see Super Tails in space, as there's probably going to be something that they need to fight in space. If I were to guess of who it is, it's probably Silkadoom, but it's good to see that Tails is at least getting something here. Then we get another great shot of Apex Silkadoom. I cannot wait to see more of him. And then here's an interesting one. This is Solar. So you know how in Sonic 06, Mephiles and Iblis fuse to become Solaris? Well, basically, this makes it so Solaris stays in a hedgehog state, which honestly, I would way much more prefer than whatever this thing is. So I'm excited to see what this guy will do. Then we have Super Shattuck versus Enerjack, which I think we saw from earlier. This is probably going to happen. Then we get one more close-up of Marluigi, and then Space V, you are not slick. We saw this. This is a fusion between Sonic, Shadow, and Silver. This is gonna go crazy. I have no idea what they're gonna name this. If I were to guess, they're probably gonna name it the Hedgehogs or something. That's what I would do. I cannot wait to see what fight they're possibly going to need to use this in. Then we get a final look at a lot of the characters. I don't know if this is all of them, but there's a lot of them. We do have the Goomba from Paper Mario and EGAD, which we don't see the Goomba in this episode, but we do see EGAD. We see a Jackal up here. Now, this Jackal will be used on later. We see Omega down here. We see Stuffwell. And we see some more Freedom Planet characters, this one specifically being Mira. Again, more Freedom Planet, please. We also see Amy and Cream and Bowser Jr., Wario, and Waluigi as well. We also see Metallics, which is a super transformation of Mecha Sonic. Or if you're watching the Super Mario Bros. Z reboot, is just the replacement of Mecha Sonic. And that was the Super All-Star Bros intro. Now we can finally get back to the actual plot. Here we go. So we start off with Luigi sleeping in bed, Mario getting up, and going downstairs. Luigi gets up, falls right on his head, and we have a little meme moment. Mario walks outside to open up the mailbox, and we see that he is invited to the Mushroom Kingdom tournament. And whoever wins this tournament gets a nice, shiny, special gem. It's kind of weird that the prize is some random gem that they have no idea what it's capable of, so this will be interesting. Then Mario goes to let Luigi know about the tournament, but Luigi is on the couch with his shoes on, drinking coffee. Like, dude, that is disgusting. Get your shoes off the couch. Mario turns around, looks up, and the death egg is just sitting there in the sky. And Mario freaks out about it, as anyone would. Mario and Luigi go to Peach's castle, freaking out that there's a giant thing in the sky. And Peach and Daisy somehow don't know about this. And Toadsworth, you know, being the nervous train wreck that he is also going kind of insane. And then we get introduced to Professor EGAD, and he basically says that it's really not that big of a deal, but his star power detector has been going a little weird, and so I guess this kind of explains it. Though I will like to say, though, it is really hard to read his text. It is white on white text. I cannot read this at all. I kind of have to squint. Basically, EGAD says that it might be bad or it could be nothing. Which, you know, thanks, EGAD. You're really helpful. That was a lot of information we definitely needed. Peach wishes Mario luck in the tournament, and then we see Wario and Waluigi. Obviously, they want that gem. They want to get to that Mila. Then we get something very interesting. Mario and Luigi return home to get all their power-ups for the tournament, which sounds like cheating, by the way. You should not be able to use power-ups in a tournament. But anyway, they look over, and one of the 7 world rings is just chilling there in their bathroom. Okay, that's kind of crazy that it's just chilling there. And then we get something that I'm not really thrilled with. We kind of get info dumps that we already know about, like them saying that they're not in the same world anymore, which, like, we know that, dude. We obviously know that you are not in Mobius anymore. We don't need that explained to us. We already know what's happening. Though we do get a good reveal that Mecha Sonic has killed a lot of people, which I guess makes this claim by Shadow make more sense, because I really didn't know what he was talking about. I wish they explained this earlier on, as this scene makes no sense if you don't know what the backstory of Mecha Sonic is. Another thing I would like to add about this scene, there is no music! It is just silence of them talking, and it drags for on and on and on of just nothing happening. Not even any interesting dialogue, just them talking, and it drags. No music, no nothing. Just the sound of a forest while some occasional grunts. And then Shadow and Knuckles teleport away to find Tails and the others. And speaking of Tails and the others, here they are. Sonic, Tails, Amy, and Blaze are all in this city. And then we get it explained to us again that this place is not Mobius. We know that. Please stop saying. Though I do actually like this scene because the music absolutely slaps. And then Sonic conveniently finds a flyer that says that there is a tournament coming up with the Chaos Emerald, which honestly, that's really good for Sonic and the gang. They need the Chaos Emeralds if they're gonna have any chance of getting out of here. Sonic and Blaze kind of go back to back. Back to back. I'm so funny about who's gonna win the tournament and how there's new people and they don't really know how to fight them, but hey, we'll see. Then Amy says that she doesn't want to fight, which, you know, is kind of surprising because I feel like she would be the type of person who would want to enter this thing. But hey, maybe she's kind of different in this series, who knows. Then Tails is also a little hesitant about entering the tournament, which honestly, I could see Tails being hesitant. But Amy, I don't think so. Then Sonic conveniently also sees a chili dog stand, which is just hilarious to me because, you know, hot dog stands, those are popular, but chili dog stands, that's really specific. This toad named Timmy says that it's 5 coins for 1 chili dog, which sounds like highway robbery. And then they're, of course, like, well, we don't have that currency, which, you know, is an obvious joke to make, but it makes sense. And then Sonic just offers 1 ring, and he's like, sure. Bro, you are the worst businessman I have ever seen. 1 ring compared to 5 gold coins. If you have eyeballs, you can see that 1 ring is not as big as 5 gold coins. Then Tails sees a flyer advertising that Mario is the savior of everyone, which, you know, honestly, I would say that's kind of crazy, but to be honest, Mario has saved the Mushroom Kingdom like 1 billion times. This makes sense. Then later on, after Sonic has eaten that chili dog, they stumble upon Tails' lab, which honestly, I love this idea of fusing the worlds together and kind of being random of what appears where. It's honestly great. Anyways, they stumble across Knuckles and Shadow and they say that they haven't found any of the others yet. Then Tails calls the Chaotix to see if they're okay and they say that they are, but on the news, a jewelry store has been robbed by some green flash and he stole something that resembled the Chaos Emeralds. Here's my other critique. We are not shown this at all. We are only told this. I wish we were able to see this, but we don't. Just told it to us. Which, if you're not paying attention to the text, which not everyone is, you would have no idea how a future character gets a Chaos Emerald. Now, if you've seen this before, you might be wondering, okay, then what are these? Well, that's not a jewelry store. Those are houses. Still kind of confusing, and they're on the screen for 2 seconds. Still, I would prefer if we saw who robbed it and what was happening, as it would add some tension to the story. And we would know more about the dangers of this world and be more hooked onto the story if it was like that. Not saying that the story isn't good so far, I'm just saying it would add even more stakes and make the story even more better. Then after all that, Rouge calls Tails, says that she's on her way, and then Sonic shows the flyer showing the Chaos Emerald that you have to win a tournament for, and Knuckles and Shadow are both shocked. Now, if you're expecting me to cover these little ad placement things, I'm not. They're just artwork. I don't think it adds anything to the story. I don't think it teases anything, unlike the opening. Though I will say, I really hope that Space P got permission for this artwork. I assume he did, but I just hope he got permission, because there's a lot of art in this with different art styles. So it would be very surprising if they all were drawn by Space P. Then we get Aeon. Now, Aeon is yapping about something about Amber. I've played Final Fantasy Sonic X, and I have no idea what he's talking about. I have no idea who Amber is. I know who Aeon is, but I don't know who Amber is. So we'll see how this works out in the future and find out who Amber is. Then we cut to Bowser's castle, and Kamek has found a Chaos Emerald. As you can see, Bowser is just remedying Aura right now, just looking absolutely menacing, having a gem with nearly infinite power. Then we cut to Eggman. He's mad that he let Project 08 or Sauna? Nah, if I was Silkadoom, I'd run away too. That's an awful name. But anyway, he calms himself down and we see Emerald and he says soon, but spoiler alert, it's not soon. We don't see Emerald for the rest of the episode. Then we cut to Silkadoom, just showing that he's still alive. He says some ominous things, but not really much we can really dissect right now. And then we cut to the arena. Well, it's actually pretty peaceful right now, and they're playing some nice Mario Galaxy music. Anyways, Knuckles walks up saying that you need a certain registration and to enter under a certain team name. And they argue about which team to enter as. And then Blaze does this to them. And for literally 2 frames, you can see this absolutely masterpiece of an image. What I do love about this scene is that Luigi just casually walks by, which is really nice because it really shows that they really don't know anyone here. And Luigi is really famous. And then we get introduced to the arena. We have Lakitu hyping everyone up. We got some nice music in the background, gives me some summer vibes. And then Lakitu just stares into our soul. Just staring. We'll never know. So he's just staring at us with an empty text box. My little brother said that this picture looks like Gru, and now I can't unsee it. Then they start talking about how they're hyped for the tournament. They see the world-famous Mario, wondering what he's up to. Then we cut to Shadow just aura farming. Blaze is just walking by and then gets hit in the shoulder by a fox that we totally don't know who it is. Wow, this is such a mystery. And then we get the reveal of the absolute GOAT Sash Lilac!
Machines won't save you from the dragon you've unleashed. I will destroy everything you throw at me. I will make you pay for what you have done.
Oh man, I can't wait to see how they're gonna act in this. I bet they're gonna be written so well. Man, I'm gonna love these characters. I love Freedom Planet, dude. Freedom Planet 1 and 2 are my all-time favorite platformers. I can't wait to see how this is gonna go. This is not foreshadowing. Totally. Then Lilac and Mila are talking about maybe the gem might have powers, which I don't really understand, because how would they know at all if the gem has powers? Maybe they're comparing it to the Kingdom Stone that they used to have, but that doesn't make any sense, and it's not like they want to steal it as they're not bandits anymore. I don't really understand why they would assume that this gem has power. And then Carol is kind of acting sarcastic, saying that, well, let's just go along with whatever this is supposed to be. Bro, Carol, when you saw the battle sphere, which is basically the same thing as this, it was a literal battle royale, and this is a tournament for fighting, this was your reaction.
Are you a bad enough dude to survive the battle sphere? If you are, you'll face me, Captain Kalau! Enter now!
Why is she not excited at all about this? I feel like she would be really, really hyped to be here, but she's just acting like it's an annoyance more than anything. Then Blaze has something on her mind, but says to ignore it. Shadow makes a funny face and makes fun of Rouge. It's kind of out of character, but honestly, it's amazing. This face makes up for it. And then we get some Japanese singing.
Get it together.
Is this Hatsune Miku? Okay, guys, before you comment, I know it's not Hatsune Miku. It's a joke. Alright? I get it. I understand. Like, you don't have to say anything. I know. And then we start playing Linkin Park? What is going on? We were just at Hatsune Miku and now we're at Linkin Park? What is this song?
Yeah!
Oh yes.
We get Peach hyping up the Mario Bros. Nah, you thought Lilac was the GOAT? No, we get the actual GOAT, Mr. Filler himself, Terry the Koopa. Everyone knows Terry the Koopa. He is just a fan favorite character. Glad to see him here. I don't even have to explain what he's from because he's just a classic character here. We don't need to explain anything. And then they show off the bracket. Now this bracket, whoever seeded this bracket, You suck! Bro, what is this? Mario versus Tails, Shadow versus Mila, Blaze versus Luigi, Sonic versus Knuckles. Okay, that's pretty good. Yoshi versus Wario, Terry versus Carol, Lilac versus Espio, Waluigi versus Vector. Nah, the worst one has gotta be Mario versus Tails. I know what a lot of y'all are probably thinking. Wouldn't the worst one be Shadow versus Mila? We will get to that. Then we get Tails nervous about the bracket, which makes sense. He's going up against the world champion again. Why would they put an 8-year-old fox versus the world champion? Then we get Knuckles getting ready to fight Sonic. You know, that's gonna be an awesome fight. And then Amy says something kind of rude, saying that I hope that Knuckles wins. I mean, I know she's wearing her boom design, so I wonder if that's kind of like what her character is trying to be like Boom Amy, but still pretty interesting. And then we get Lilac being a nice friend and hyping up Mila. I'm sure her character is gonna be nice after this. I mean, she's being nice here. I bet she's just gonna be a lovely person to read. Mila's kind of worried and shy, which, you know, okay. Don't know if that really fits her character, especially because in Freedom Planet 2, she wanted to become Aleem, a masked marauder with a mysterious past, and wanted to be in front of the entire battlesphere. But hey, sure, let her be shy. That's fine. Sonic's being pessimistic and Shadow's being realistic. Which, you know, honestly, I think Shadow is the only voice of reason here. Like, this is actually ridiculous. Why is Tails fighting the champion? This doesn't make any sense. We start with Tails immediately trying to be like Mega Man, and Mario shuts that down real quick, getting a nice combo, throwing him on the ground. Tails is able to bounce back from it though, getting in the air, only for him to get anti-aired right into the ground again and get hit by a combo. Now, if you notice, Tails tries to shoot him in this brief interaction, but he's not able to get it off. Mario immediately goes in for a down tilt, which, you know, honestly, that's crazy. How did Tails not react to this? You're supposed to be the fast one here. That down tilt took years to come out, bro. Mario gets a couple uppercuts into a Shoryuken just for Tails to bounce back again with some sort of massive glove punch thingy. This thing is crazy. Then Tails realizes, wait, I can cheat in this tournament. So he starts throwing down electrical thingamajiggies and hits Mario. And then Mario says, oh yeah, you can cheat in this tournament, and pulls out his hammer. And then he hits a couple of his projectiles away, just for Tails to start charging up a nice boost. And then Tails starts winning the interaction, starts outspeeding him. But it doesn't last long as Mario gets the upper hand and hits Tails with a nice gut punch that releases fire and goes crazy. Mario, chill, he's only an 8-year-old. I do find it fun though that Blaze is impressed that he can use fire. That's pretty cool. Sonic trying his best to pep up Tails, even though we all know he got destroyed. He's a great big brother, isn't he? Luigi is crazy for this. He starts laughing in his face. Like, bro, he's just an 8-year-old. You can't laugh at that. And then the absolute GOAT, Terry the Koopa, says easy dub, bro. Absolute cinema. Terry the Koopa is the absolute GOAT here. And then we get the part that, you know, hurts for me. It hurts to watch this. I've watched it many times. But it hurts, you know, when you watch it. Even though you know that Mila would definitely win against Tails and put up more of a fight. Still, these people. Mila was the masked marauder. She fought a giant snake robot. She fought all these robots. This is like Sonic Forces Tails. You fought these great creatures. But, sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself. We'll get to it. Sonic's warning him not to go too far, but we know Shadow's gonna go too far. Why? Because it's, you know, a popular thing in Shadow's character to take it too far. It's what he does. Name every time Shadow has taken something too far. Alright, now we're gonna go into the fight, and Mila, you know, the cute little puppy is ready to fight. Oh, she's so cute. This dude is gonna die, bro! You're gonna die! You're about to die! You're gonna die! They're surprised that Shadow can teleport, but to be honest, I don't know why they're surprised about this. I feel like they fought a lot of enemies that can teleport, so... Especially Brevin. I mean, Brevin, can practically teleport, so I don't know. maybe they forgot. Anyways, Mila is piping herself up, saying that she won't go too crazy, but yeah. Shadow sits there and face palms. Yeah, if you can't already tell, I don't like this scene. Starting off, Mila gets into a position, starts dashing, everyone is shocked, and then And then we get a clip of Mila crying on the floor, which honestly, I feel like Mila could tank a shot like this. Trust me, we will get to this. I will dissect this scene, but I just want to go over the story first, like I said. If I was to give a positive about this scene, though, I will say the scene of Lilacs saying nobody hurts Mila kind of goes crazy.
Nobody hurt Mila!
Hey, up!
Lilac being mad at Shadow is kind of rightfully deserved. I feel like Shadow kind of overstepped his bar, but also at the same time, I don't think Shadow would have made the mistake of going too far, realistically. Okay, I'm done. I won't talk about Freedom Planet characterization anymore until we get later on in the story. Alright, because this next part is awesome, so we're just gonna skip to that, and I will dissect this later. Now that we're done with all the negative stuff, here is when the animation gets absolutely peak fiction. We have Mario versus Shadow. This fight goes absolutely crazy. Let's get into this fight. So starting off, we have both of their intros getting ready, getting some close-ups. Shadow gets a nice close-up, and Mario gets a nice close-up. My god, Lilac, can you shut up for 10 seconds? Anyways, we get a random flash into the future of Darkspine Mario, which is kind of crazy. Don't know why this happened at all, but we might see in episode 2. Okay, starting off the fight, we got Mario trying to throw in some punches, but he does not land a single one. Shadow literally looking at his fingernails as he's dodging these attacks. And so Shadow gets a counterattack. And then before Mario even has the chance to get up, Shadow has already prepared a full course meal. Just mop, 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 mop. Hitting him across the face, right onto the floor. Got Mario spinning around like a tire. Mario remembers that cheating is allowed in this tournament. And so he pulls out the hammer, ready to go in, but Shadow has the counterattack with his inhibitor rings. And it makes the sound of two steel objects clashing. That is genius! The inhibitor rings are hitting the hammer, and it is just absolutely peak fiction. They clash for a while, and then Shadow's able to knock the hammer right out of Mario's hand. And Mario is visibly shook. Then Shadow is able to get another full course meal of a combo. Then he grabs him by the head and drags him through the floor like he's Broly. Like, bro, you're not Broly, dude. And then he hits him with a nice kick that sends Mario spinning like a tire again. Mario tries to cheat again, but Shadow says, nah, I don't like cheaters, and throws a giant chaos spear at Mario. And not only that, he sends him a few more for the road. And then Shadow finally locks in and says, all right, let's finish this. He charges so much that his entire shoe goes into the ground and hits him with another full course meal combo, hitting him straight to the ground, and a giant explosion of dust appears. And then Shadow looks at the camera like, bro, did you see that? And then Daisy is absolutely shocked that this even happened. All right, who else has a reaction? I want to see your face! And then Sonic looking like, yep, I knew this would happen. That's my boy right there. Also, can I just point out, Amy isn't even looking at the fight. She's looking at Sonic. Like, bro, look at the fight, bro. And then Lakitu is just shocked because he's never seen anything like this, bro. This must be what it's like being the announcer at the Tenkaichi Budokai in Dragon Ball, bro. You're just like, what is happening? This is possible? Luigi isn't so sure, though. He's like, wait, Mario's the main character. He can't go down that fast. That's not how it works. And then we get a moment I can't even describe with words. You just have to see it.
What?
You already know all 10 Mario fans are going crazy right now. And I'm not one of those 10, but I'm going crazy, dude. This is insane. We got Dragon Ball music. Mario looking insane. We got everybody shocked. God, why you gotta ruin it every single time? Mario immediately starts getting his get back with the insane combo. A combo so hard they need the close-up for it. He is just doing everything Shadow just did to him and getting even more out of it. He even did what Shadow did to him and got Shadow spinning like a tire. He hits him onto the ground and then punches him right back up. And before Shadow can even make a move, he is popping a pose just to hit the hardest axe kick I have ever seen in my entire life. And once he hits him onto the ground, we got the best close-up art ever. And it's not just one good close-up art, it is two. These two shots are absolutely peak and go so crazy as Shadow's like, nah, I gotta lock in. He gets up, charges himself, and is getting ready to clash, being like, all right, I gotta take this dude seriously. I thought this dude was just a plumber. Nah, I actually gotta take this seriously. And then we get the music lining up with the actual fight. With everybody's reactions like, dude, this is so big. Then we get another clash. Mario is seeming to come out on top because he has the hammer. I don't know how he got that back. I'm not gonna question it because this is absolutely peak fiction. Just for them to hit each other in DBZ right into the ground. Like, bro, this is better than DBZ itself. This is the superior. You get a brief moment of peace while the song kind of lays low. Just for Mario to instantly go in and try to get a dash. But Shadow shuts that off real quick with the Chaos Control. Mario's able to bounce back a little, but then we got the dude Shadow pulling off the inhibitor ring for 1 second, and he puts it back on. Like, bro, this is literally, like, this is the best animated sprite fight I have ever seen in my entire life. Literally, nothing can beat this. Mario bounces back and charges an insane aura. Shadow does the same and it's synced with the music and the music gets louder. Like, dude, I literally cannot, like, dude. Oh my God. It's so good. And then we get the hardest close-up. We get the hardest close-up shot I've ever seen in my entire life. They clash for a bit. Shadow throws a Chaos Spear. Mario instantly dodges it. And then we hit an insane close-up shot. Then we get another brief moment of peace. Everyone is just reacting to what just happened. They just broke the sound barrier. And then we get Spade and Nira, of all people, just appearing out of nowhere. Spade is like, bro, my lookalike is going crazy right now. And Nira's like, dude, these are fire powers, bro. I can't be around here. I'm an ice type. And then we get a nice close-up of Mario. And then we get the craziest voice acting I've ever heard in my entire life. We hear the most insane and hardest chaos spear I've ever heard in my entire life. And Mario just shrugs it off like it's nothing, literally saying, woohoo, and throwing it into the air like it's some sort of item that he just grabbed out of an item box. And then Shadow and Mario look at each other like, bro, we just did that, bro. We're really like that. We're really him. And Knuckles is freaking out saying that he wants to fight so badly. And bro, I'd love to see it, man. And now Amy is looking at the arena looking pretty shocked. But Sonic looks like he just saw a ghost, bro. Like, he looks like his soul just left his body, which makes complete sense. Like, dude, this was crazy. And then the Chaotix are like, bro, we gotta keep up with that. Yeah, we're cooked. If I was the Chaotix or Wario and Waluigi, I just dip. There's nothing you can do here, bro. You're done. And before we get into the next scene, I would just like to point out they were holding back that entire fight. Mario still had a bunch of other power-ups in his pouch. They were holding back. Shadow only took off one inhibitor ring for 1 second and only used Chaos Control once. Like, bro, that is insanity to me. Now we're gonna need a moment of peace because now the story takes a way different turn. So, we're gonna sit silent for a bit. Psych! Nah, we got Scourge right here, and he has the audacity to say that the tournament is mid! Like, bro, what? Did you not just see that? And then Lilac is concerned because Mila is still recovering, which, honestly, alright, Lilac, I'll give you this. That's a little scary. I wouldn't want to be around a dude that just jumped out of the sky with a Chaos Emerald and looks completely evil. Because we all know, if he has sharp teeth and he's green, he's evil. Those are the rules. Shadow demands Scourge to give the Chaos Emerald to him, and Scourge is like, alright, I'll give you something, and flicks him off. Then Scourge calls everyone a bozo, and Mario tries to rush in, but Scourge shuts that off real quick. Now, if you've seen Dragon Ball, you know one of the most brutal fights is Videl versus Spokovich. No, this blows that out of the water. Just watch this, bro. And then Luigi actually gets a nice cheap shot, but let's just say it also doesn't go very well for him either. Then Shadow tries to get an opening on him, but Scourge shuts that down real quick. He starts an insane combo. Just look at this. He gets like 3 kicks in, and then he starts hitting him without even moving. Like, bro, Shadow, what happened? I thought you were fast, dude. What is this? And then Sonic, Knuckles, and Blaze all try to jump Scourge at the same time, just for Scourge to spin on the top of his head and hit everyone. Like, bro, this dude is a menace. And then Tails tries to go in, and bro, Scourge literally looks at him trying not to laugh, being like, bro, did you see what just happened? There's no way you're doing anything. Then Amy tries to go in, instantly gets 2-shot. Then Yoshi tries to go in, but Scourge kicks the egg so hard, it breaks the sound barrier and hits him so hard that blood comes out of his mouth. Like, bro, this is crazy. And then we get the goat, Terry the Koopa, trying to do something. And honestly, he puts up a pretty good fight for a Koopa. And then Knuckles comes out of nowhere and hits Scourge right in the back, really hard. And then Scourge is like, hey, yo, that was pretty good. I'll let you try again. And Scourge literally looks at his fingernails while blocking these other punches. Like, bro, you're cooked, dude. Knuckles, there's nothing you can do. And then Amy and Rouge try to team up and hit him. And then Scourge just says what we're all thinking. Why even try, Rouge? You're not cut out for this, bro. You're not in this. Then we get the Chaotix trying to do something. Charmy doesn't even try. He just throws Vector at him and Vector just kind of runs off. So I was editing this and I was looking at the scene, right? Where do we also see the same move, guys? Ooh, look at that. Ooh, look at that. We zoom in. Ooh, look at that. Ooh, look at that. That look familiar to y'all? That look familiar? Y'all giving Mila flack, but yo, Vector, what is this, my guy? The computer room ain't over there, boy. What is this, my guy? Like, come on, man. You can't get backhand like that. You're an alligator. At least Mila's like a puppy bred for battle and can actually fight. But whatever, man. Whatever, man. I'm not gonna... That's for later. I don't care. I'm not mad about it. I'm not salty. I'm not salty. I would never be salty about stuff like that. But Espio actually looks pretty cool while doing this. He looks pretty sick. I love me some Espio. But it doesn't matter because he gets destroyed anyway. Sonic tries to go in again, but Scourge, he uses time break and says, nah, you're getting hit. Now, I'm pretty sure how he froze time was because of the Chaos Emerald. I could be wrong, though. But yeah, the reason why Scourge is just destroying everyone is because of the Chaos Emerald. I highly doubt he's just naturally this strong. And then we get some absolute heat. Literally. We get Blaze coming up and it's playing Find Your Flame. I'm going crazy right now, dude. Blaze is one of my favorite Sonic characters. I'm going crazy. And we hear this nice scream from Blaze. And then Scourge literally says, not so hot.
Not so hot.
Like, bro, she's literally on fire right now. Then we get this nice close-up of Scourge, but for like 2 frames, he goes Super Scourge, which is insane. That is such a cool touch. So the fight starts with Blaze throwing in 2 punches, and Scourge dodges it, but there's a massive wave effect afterwards, and Scourge looks behind him like, bro, you did all that? And as soon as he turns around, he gets scratched in the face. Blaze really hitting him with the cat claws. That's crazy. Me personally, I wouldn't get hit by that. Now, reasonably, this pisses Scourge off and is able to get a couple hits and tries to get one big giant kick, and Blaze instantly dodges it. She tries to get a counterattack, but Scourge dodges it yet again. They are just dodging each other's attacks like crazy. They run for a while and Scourge tries to get in a punch, and Blaze again dodges it, only for them to start holding hands. Wow, they must be friends now. And Blaze tries to get another hit in, but yet again, Scourge dodges it. I'm telling you, this is dodge central. And then Blaze tries to get in a couple kicks into a massive axe kick. Scourge blocks it, and then Blaze shoots out a fireball, and then we get this nice close-up of Blaze like, yo, I'm on fire right now. But it doesn't last long as Scourge finally is able to get a combo off and finish the fight. Then we get this absolutely devious shot where Scourge is just sitting there in the middle and everyone is knocked out, bro. Like, bro is posing up like he just clutched the game and got the victory royale for his teammates, bro. He just did a 1v11. He deserves all the aura points right now. Wario and Waluigi run away, which is respectful. I would do the same. I'm out of there, bro. If I saw Scourge 1v11 the entire crowd, I'm not doing anything. And then we get something that I actually like about the Freedom Planet representation. I know, I didn't think I'd ever have to say this, but I like that Lilac and Carol didn't go in to try to fight. The reason being is they knew they were gonna get destroyed, and they had to be there when Mila recovers. And then Scourge gets the worst advice I've ever seen in my entire life. Please, Lilac, don't follow this advice. I beg, please. Please! And then Lilac demands to know who Scourge is, and Scourge is like, I'm Black Air Force Energy the Hedgehog. If you have to say you're Black Air Force Energy the Hedgehog, you need help, bro. And then we see Nira just watching everyone die. He really just watched that and did nothing about it. And then Scourge is about to teleport away, but Shadow's able to get up and teleport with him. Then Sonic is not very happy that this happened, so he goes semi-dark Sonic, which is really cool in my opinion. I love the idea that Sonic is kind of struggling with going dark for him all the time. That's really sick. Knuckles tries to calm him down, but it really doesn't work, as he's only getting more angry. And then we get something absolutely wild. Blaze tries to calm down Sonic, and that calms him down, bro. Sonic's own homie Knuckles couldn't do anything. You needed the girl to tell you not to? Bro, I already know what you are, Sonic. You're a simp. You're a simp. I know it. I know what you are. I got your book. You're a simp. Oh my god, dude. Okay, so Lilac and Carol come down saying that they have to talk, and Knuckles is given the face I'm giving right now. Lilac says that she's mad because they have no insight on what's going on because they just randomly appeared in this world. And Sonic is like, oh wait, y'all are not from here? My bad. Y'all don't look like you're from Mobius either. Which, I mean, kind of makes sense, but they're anthropomorphic like you guys are, so I don't know why he's confused. Sonic assumes that Eggman merged more than one world, and Lilac asks what's with that darkness that surrounded him. And Knuckles says just to forget it. Bro, we can't brush that off. If I was Lilac and I saw Sonic just have that giant darkness surround him, and Knuckles just says to forget it, bro, I'm not forgetting it, dude. I want to talk about that now. And Knuckles says that he can still sense Shadow nearby. Then Mario gets up and Knuckles explains the Chaos Emeralds and why they're a threat. Now, I do like that he's explaining the Chaos Emeralds, but I do think it's a little too late, but hey, it's fine. Sonic asks if Lilac can help them find the Chaos Emeralds, and bro, Lilac, you need to forgive and forget, bro. Go pick up a Bible, look into some Romans, you'll find some forgiveness there, bro. You need to learn this stuff. Even Carol is like, bro, you need to chill. Then Sonic's like, bro, Shadow really ain't like that though. That was just a bad first impression. You got him on a bad day. And Carol is like, come on, Lilac, please. And she still says, no, please pick up some Romans, my guy. Knuckles starts arguing with Lilac and Amy's trying to calm things down. Tails starts tracking Shadow's location, and then Mila is up and at it. She is okay. Somehow, she didn't get escorted during the whole Scourge thing. She just got better, which is a good thing. I like that. Tails says that Shadow is in the city because he can track the Chaos Emerald that Scourge has. Then we get the most adorable thing I've ever seen in my life. Why did Shadow have to backhand this puppy, bro? This is so cute. Oh my god, why, Shadow? You're like one of my favorite Sonic characters. Why did you do this? This is adorable. Anyways, Blaze says that she can feel the Soul Emeralds that are also here, apparently. That means 4 worlds got fused into one. The Soul Dimension, Sonic's Dimension, Mario's Dimension, and the Freedom Planet Dimension. Bro, who's next? Knuckles is tired of standing around and blasts off. Mario says, let's go, and puts on the cape. And Blaze talks to Lilac, and Lilac finally says sorry. Oh my god, finally, bro. Please, never do that again. Then Luigi finally puts on the cape and blasts off. And then we get Nira talking about Lilac. She says, Lilac, just what's going on? I have a bad feeling about all this. Yeah, I'm very interested to see what Nira is going to be like in the story, because in the intro, she's barely in it. So I don't know if she's going to play a major part of the story or if she's just going to be another character that exists. Then we get Mario starting to fly off, but he takes out a fire flower and fuses it with his cape. That is so sick. And honestly, I said this in the intro section, but I'll say it again. This is one of my most wanted features in a Mario game is power-up fusion. I just think that would go so crazy. Now from this moment, the story takes yet again another turn. We get a lot of characters that are shown that will show up in the future. The first character that is shown off is Mecha Sonic. We find out that Mecha Sonic is still alive, and when these two toads try to walk up to it, this happens. Yeah, remember how I said Mecha Sonic makes someone else draw blood? Yeah, that's kind of brutal. Mecha Sonic laughs it off and has the coolest blast off sequence I've ever seen in my entire life. But Mecha Sonic flies so fast that it literally says sound barrier detected, blasts through the sound barrier, and probably kills a bunch of innocent people. We cut to Scourge and Shadow in the city, and Scourge is mad at Shadow, and Shadow turns around and Mecha Sonic is just lunging at them at full force. and then the screen cuts to black. Then we have another batch of characters we have to get introduced to. This one being Dr. Finitivus. Yes, I can say his name now. He's talking about how he wants Knuckles for Enerjack, which is how Enerjack works in the Archie comics, is Enerjack will possess someone and become that Enerjack and basically be an evil version of themselves. And Knuckles, obviously being the strongest Echidna, is the strongest Enerjack. Then we cut to Ashley from WarioWare of all places, and Wario and Waluigi reveal that they have a soul emerald. Anyways, Ashley gives a garlic to Wario and says that he'll probably need it. And then she says something vaguely ominous, saying that she'll kill the entirety of humanity one day. And then says JK. Like, bro, Ashley might be more of a menace than Scourge. Then we get a cut to a Goomba and a Koopa. Now, I'm pretty sure this is a reference to a Newgrounds animation, and while I wasn't around for the Newgrounds era and don't really know much about these two characters, they are voice acted and they go over the plot so far, and it's supposed to be a comedy sketch of sorts. I don't know if they'll have a bigger impact on the story or if this is just a cool Easter egg, but hey, I'm fine with it. Then we cut to the absolute GOAT, Bowser Jr. and Basilisk. Dude, I love Basilisk. He is ready to fight. You know Basilisk is gonna go crazy in this series. You already know. Then we get a cut to Geno, and he's talking about how a great disturbance has fallen on the Mushroom Kingdom and how he needs to find Mario. You know, how Geno normally talks. Then we get another cut to Luigi, Blaze, and Lilac all running. You already know I'm going hype. This trio is gonna go crazy. Can't wait for episode 2, bro. And then we get a random flash of that Master Toad from Paper Mario. Then we cut to Shy Guy's Bazaar, and they see a giant gem. Now, we know what this giant gem is. It's the Master Emerald. But we do get a glimpse of Nazo in the Master Emerald, which I'm hyped for. Can't wait for Nazo. You already know that. Nazo's gonna go crazy. Let's go. We cut to Eggman, and he says that the world is 4 times bigger than Mobius. If you want my theory, I think all 4 of the worlds fused, but that's just me. Then we cut to Mobius 186 years into a parallel future, and we get Silver, and Silver is actually voice acted, so I don't have to say what he's saying. You can just listen to it.
On this terrible, hellish waste of a planet, once known as Mobius, I stopped praying that this was all just a terrible, everlasting nightmare a long time ago. Yes, this is my world, a failed one. They've taken everything from me. All my friends, my family. Massacred and torn apart right in front of me. My hate, my rage, it's immeasurable. Just why? Someone please tell me why.
Then we get Dr. Eggman. Oh my god. Negative, and he says that a lot of people in the multiverse have suffered the same fate Silver has. And then he says, I hope my efforts will pay off. Please, Ivo, I know you're smart enough to figure this out. And we get a glimpse of that weird hedgehog that I was talking about earlier in the intro part. I don't know who this dude is. And then we get the ether. Trust me guys, we're almost there. This is the last scene, and we get glimpses of some characters. Now, I'm pretty sure all these characters are new characters that are original. And yes, I will make the obvious joke here that isn't funny. Here we go. You ready? You've never heard this joke before. My character is original, do not steal. I know, I'm so funny guys. I'm peak comedy, man. I love making fun of the Sonic fandom because that's what I do. I love making fun of it. But I will say, some of these names are hard to pronounce, like this first one. I had to Google how to pronounce this, and I'm probably still gonna get it wrong. Here we go. Are you ready? Ashunta. The Hellcat. Hypon the Ultimate, who has a sword. I'm really hyped for this guy. He has a freaking sword. Swords are sick. I love swords. Come on, give me more of this. Then we have Drags the Eternal. Then we have Fire the Hedgehog. Now, I think it's pronounced fire. It could be fire. I don't know. but he looks cool. Then we have Darkest the Terror. Man, I really have to Google a lot of these names. Then you remember in the intro how I said that there was a jackal and I had to put in text that it isn't infinite? This is him. This is Haze the Jackal, the easiest name in this entire list. Then we have Stardust the Saturnine. I've never heard of a Saturnine before. It must be some sort of animal. Then we actually have a fusion. This is Mafazo the Dark Hedgehog. This is a fusion between Mephiles and Nazo. Remember how in the intro, again, I said that I wasn't going to go over this hedgehog until the very end? Well, here we are. Mafazo the Dark Hedgehog. And we get the craziest name I've ever seen in my life. Extreme Silkadoom the Divinity. Bro, what? So I'm thinking this guy is probably going to be the final ultimate boss of everything. He is crazy. This dude looks strong. I'm thinking this guy might be the equivalent of Zeno to Dragon Ball, but we'll see. Then we get the credits. That was the story of Super All-Star Bros. Now we can finally go in depth, dissect the story, dissect the characters, then I'll have a final verdict, and then we'll do a final send-off. If you've made it this far, thank you for being here. You're a real one. You're a true supporter. But we still got a lot left to go, so here we go. Okay, so I want to go over each character individually and kind of dissect them. Now I know that I'm not going to be able to go over every single character as this review is long enough already and it would be 10 times longer if I did. And some characters barely have any screen time, so I really wouldn't be able to go over much of anything, and some characters are just straight up not interesting enough. That's the problem with having so many characters in a story. It's hard to split up the screen time individually. So the first character I want to go over is Sonic. Now Sonic's character is perfectly on the mark for me. I think it is exactly what Sonic's character should be. Cool, a little bit edgy, swift to go save people, take care of a situation, and never give up in any circumstance. I love the fact that he struggles with the dark supersonic form and trying to keep that down. I also love that he is the rope tying every character together. If anyone is in an argument, he'll try to calm it down and make sure no one bites each other's head off. We see this in the later scene after Scourge attacks. He's trying to get everyone to calm down while also struggling with the fact that he could have helped Shadow not let Scourge get away. This is exactly how Sonic should act in the games in my opinion, and even the TV shows. It is the perfect representation of Sonic and reminds me a lot of Sonic and the Black Knight's interpretation, which I'm pretty sure Sonic's character in this series was probably inspired off of Black Knight. Overall, I'll give Sonic's character a 10 out of 10. There's literally nothing I would change. The next character I want to talk about is Knuckles. Now, Knuckles is very interesting as he acts a lot like Piccolo from Dragon Ball. Sometimes when I'm reading his dialogue, I can literally only hear Piccolo talking, which honestly, I'm fine with. Some people might have an issue with that, but personally, I kind of like it. I also like that he still has a little bit of that naive, dumb side to him, like in that one meme scene. Besides that, it's literally just Piccolo from Dragon Ball, and I love Piccolo, so I think it's great. The only thing I would change about his character is he doesn't seem as worried about the Master Emerald and finding the Master Emerald. He mentions it like one time, but he's not really that crazy to go find it until the very latter half of the episode. Overall, I would give Knuckles' character an 8 out of 10. It's really good. The only thing I would change is the Master Emerald bit. So, good job, Knuckles. Now, next up we have Shadow. Shadow's character is really, really good. But there's just one scene that makes me rank him lower. And that's the scene where he fights Mila. Main issue with this scene is that I feel like Shadow wouldn't go too far. Shadow has never ever been shown to take a fight too far, or almost accidentally kill someone. He usually is smart about fighting and knows when to hold back. Like, for instance, I know this came out after Super All-Star Bros, but this is still a good example. In the Dark Beginnings short of Shadow Generations, he looks like he's about to kill this pilot, but he just ejects the seat because he knows he's not a killer. Now, did Shadow try to kill Mila? No. But would Shadow also know not to go too far? Yes. But Mila's character also didn't help either. I think she also is very out of character, which I will get to later. Also, side note, I can't believe they didn't take advantage of Mila and Maria. Like, Mila and Maria are very, very similar names. I feel like they could have either made a joke or had a moment where he holds back because her name is so similar. Kind of a missed opportunity if you ask me. Overall, I'll give Shadow's character a 7 out of 10. It's really, really good, but the fight scene tanks it for me. Next up, we got Blaze. Blaze is the rule of cool character. I like the fact that she is focused on trying to get the soul emeralds and how cool she is at all moments. She's written perfectly, exactly how I would expect her to be written in this series, and how she should be written in the games if she ever comes back. I don't really have much to say besides the fact that she's really cool and she's a cat. I mean, everyone loves cats. I will give her character a 10 out of 10. It's literally perfect. There was nothing I would change. Now, next up we have the first and only villain I'm going to go over, and that is Mecha Sonic. Now, because there's so many enemies and villains in this series, but not a lot of them are shown, Mecha Sonic is kind of less menacing than he was in Super Mario Bros. Z. But this isn't really Mecha Sonic's fault, it's just kind of the side effect of there being a lot of parties involved. He's still really cool, but he's not the menacing terror that he is in Super Mario Bros. Z. So, unfortunately, Mecha Sonic is going to be ranked lower than he was in Super Mario Bros. Z. I will give him an 8 out of 10. And then, you guessed it, the next character I'm gonna go over, and I put it off for a while, is Lilac. Now, I have a lot to say about this. Lilac's character, I have major issues with. The first issue is that when we're first introduced to Lilac, it's not really nothing that crazy. She's just kind of sitting at the tournament. But as soon as Mila gets knocked out, Lilac turns into a Karen. All of her dialogue is just complaining, moaning, and being a Karen. Compare this to Mecha Sonic, Shadow, and Sonic. They have really cool entrances. As soon as you're introduced to the character, you know what they're all about. Mecha Sonic is the menacing terror that comes out of nowhere and just gets what he wants. Shadow is a character that fights for himself and doesn't want anyone to die. Sonic is the heroic, fast, cool, slightly edgy hedgehog. Lilac's first introduction is, again, being a Karen and getting mad at Shadow, which, let's be honest, if you're mad at Shadow, you're probably not going to get a lot of love from the fandom. Shadow is a very popular character. And this is the main issue. Every time I have talked to someone about Super All-Star Bros, they've never played Freedom Planet, which really sucks, but also it's to be expected. It's an indie game, not everyone has played it, so usually Super All-Star Bros is their first introduction to Freedom Planet, and therefore their introduction to Lilac and the rest of the cast. And that introduction to Lilac is being a Karen and complaining at Shadow, which, if you ask me, that's not a good introduction to be hating on the most popular character in the whole canon. Now for me, back when I first watched this, I still hadn't played Freedom Planet yet. Since I already knew all of the characters in the series, the Freedom Planet characters were some of the only ones I didn't know. So I thought, let's fix that. Combine that with the Charai 5 video that came out around the same time this did, and I played Freedom Planet 1 and 2. And lo and behold, Freedom Planet 2 is my most favorite game of all time. Again, Lilac's character is very flawed here because of her introduction. Imagine if Shadow's introduction was complaining to Sonic that he didn't beat Mecha Sonic and then proceeded not to fight him and do nothing and complain the entire time. No one would like Shadow's interpretation, and that's exactly happened with Lilac's. The only reason why people don't complain about Lilac's character as much is because they don't know her as much as Sonic or Shadow. Now, I'll admit, Lilac's character in the games can be pretty sassy. In fact, it's in her character bio. But she's also known to take care of a situation. In Freedom Planet 2, there's multiple times where she interrupts an argument and gets people back on track. She's kind of like the leader type. Think Sally from Sonic, but a little bit more laid back. And she usually is the most mature one in the group. So her being hung up on Shadow going too far when fighting Mila is very strange and out of character. Even if Lilac's character is supposed to be a unique interpretation, it still isn't a good one, because our first introduction to the character shouldn't be her complaining. Why do you think people really don't like Chi-Chi in Dragon Ball? It's because usually people have only watched Z and didn't see how Chi-Chi was in the OG Dragon Ball, where she actually is a better written character. That being said, I will say something that I like about Lilac's character. I like the fact that she is protective. I know this is kind of hypocritical given everything I've said so far, but she's protective over her friends. Do I think that she's a little too overprotective in this series? Yes. but it's good that she is at least protective at all. One last thing before I give my final ranking, and this isn't necessarily a bad thing with her character per se, just more of a I want to see this. I want to see more fight scenes with Lilac. Lilac just kind of stands around the entire time, and when you think she's gonna get a fight scene, it just kind of cuts off. So I would really like to see a fight scene here. I do like that she decided not to fight Scourge, but still, I want to see a fight scene. Maybe she could have fought in the tournament. Her sprites are really cool and can lead to some really cool fights. I've seen some really cool fight scenes with Lilac, and I think that Space Bee could do an amazing job. And looking at the Battle of Sprites 3 post-credits scene, she's actually teased. But looking at the Battle of Sprites 4 trailer, it doesn't look like she's in it. It appears that because people don't like her character as much, Space Bee might have cut it, which really sucks for me. So overall, I will give Lilac's character a 3 out of 10. The reason it's not lower is because it's not the main focus of the story, and I can ignore it for the most part. Next up, we have Carol. Now, Carol isn't a super bad character per se, she's just a lot of nothing. And that's my main issue with her character. In Freedom Planet 1 and 2, she's kind of a loose cannon. Sometimes she'll just randomly dip from the gang just to show up later, and they literally have a name for it in the games. It's called doing a Carol. And so she usually is the most reckless out of all of them. Kind of like Sonic's character, but even more reckless. And she's not much of a hero type compared to Lilac's character. She will save people, but she won't go super out of her way to save people.
Where are you going? I have to make sure they're okay. Can't you be Little Miss Hero Pants some other time?
Carol, you stupid furball! Go take your flea bath some other time! I gotta go check on those civilians, because we won't be able to get through the plot if I don't!
Now, in this series, she has none of those traits. She just kind of stands around and does nothing, and her dialogue isn't even interesting either. She seems like she doesn't want to be there most of the time. When I was going over the story, I pointed out that she said, quote, "Let's just do whatever this is supposed to be" during the Mushroom Kingdom tournament. I don't understand why she doesn't want to be at the tournament. Literally doesn't make any sense to me. I'll point it out again, but she was ecstatic to go to the Battle Sphere, which is basically the same thing as this. She loves fighting and martial arts and grand prizes and shiny things. So I don't know why she wouldn't want to be here. So I just find it strange that she doesn't want to be at the tournament. Her character feels very hollow and like there's nothing in it. Also, the latter half of the story, her and Mila just kind of fall off the face of the planet. Lilac runs off with the gang and Carol and Mila are just there still at the tournament. Like, what are they doing? Twiddling their thumbs? It's not like she can't follow them. She has a motorcycle. She can definitely follow them. And she carries around the motorcycle in her pocket. I don't think she's going to show up more after this, which really sucks because her character is really good in Freedom Planet, probably one of my favorites. Unfortunately, I have to give her character a 2 out of 10. Yes, worse than Lilac because of just how nothing it is. Now let's get into what probably will be the most controversial character, and that's Mila. Now I need to be careful what I say here because Freedom Planet fans love Mila. She is probably the most loved character in the entire series. My main issue with Mila in this series though is that she acts like she did in Freedom Planet 1, which would be fine if this series took place in between Freedom Planets 1 and 2. In the Discord for Space Bee, I asked when Super All-Star Bros takes place, between Freedom Planet 1 and 2 or after Freedom Planet 2. Space Bee replied, it takes place after Freedom Planet 2. Now I don't have proof of this as I would rather watch 10 hours of CNN than go back on Discord, so you're just gonna have to take my word for it. Mila does not act how she did in Freedom Planet 2. In Freedom Planet 2, she was more of a meme character, but also excited to go on adventures and was the light of the gang. Whenever anyone was down, she would lift them up and kind of be the pep up everyone needed. And in Freedom Planet 1, she was kind of portrayed as a more naive child, which makes sense because she was only about 8 years old in that game, while she's 13 in Freedom Planet 2. So there was a major maturity gap. That's why it's confusing that she acts like herself in Freedom Planet 1. Now again, she was embarrassed to go into the tournament. I know I sound like a broken record. She went into the Battle Sphere, which is basically the same thing as the Mushroom Kingdom tournament. So I don't know why she was embarrassed for this. Now, I want to give my positives. I like that she still is a scientist and messes with their potions and stuff, and I like that she still has the cuteness factor.
Move it!
Thanks, Ascal. I was almost a Mila sandwich.
Whatever. I'm here to help you search the place. Or punch things, probably.
And then we're gonna get to the most controversial part of Mila's character. I don't think Mila would have done as terribly against Shadow as she did. I know this is controversial to say, but here you go. You ready? Brace yourself. I think Mila is stronger than Tails.
You need to leave.
And I'm not trying to make this a power scaling debate because that's not what this is supposed to be. But Mila is not just some weak little puppy dog. She is literally a unit designed for battle in Brevin's army. Brevin being the main villain of Freedom Planet 1. But one thing led to another and she left that life. Also, Mila has the ability to use a shield, has projectiles, and everything like that. So I don't know why she didn't do at least a little bit better. Do I think Shadow still wins? Oh yeah, I still think it should have been a fight closer to how Mario vs. Tails was. Overall, I'll give her character a 6 out of 10. It's not the worst, but I still think it could be better. And so that was all the characters I wanted to go over. As far as every other character I didn't go over, I either don't have much to say about them or there's just not much to them. Like Scourge, he's pretty cool. He's pretty funny at times, but besides the fact he kind of acts like Broly, I don't really have much to say about him. If you want to hear my opinion on Scourge, just watch the story synopsis. I explain it all there. Now, let me explain to you, the viewer, why this series is so special. Super Mario Bros. Z was a series developed a long time ago. While the creator is pretty controversial nowadays, he still created one of the best series imaginable. Mecha Sonic from Super Mario Bros. Z is still one of my favorite villains of all time, and Super Mario Bros. Z is really something truly special. Why do you think people have tried to replicate Super Mario Bros. Z style so many times? But the main issue is that a lot of people just end up copying the same mold that Super Mario Bros. Z did, which can be good, but sometimes you want something fresh, something new. So when I saw Super All-Star Bros. And another series we might talk about, don't check the post-credit scene. Super All-Star Bros. Is truly something special, as it is something that is from pure passion. The animation is top-notch. Now again, do I love how all the characters are written? No, but that's okay. That just comes with having so many characters in your cast. Here, let me put this into perspective for you. You know those videos about the Sonic fandom? You know those ones, like cool creations the Sonic fandom has made, cool mods, stuff like that. Whenever I watch those videos, I cross my fingers hoping that they show Super All-Star Bros, but I have yet to see one that does. They always repeat the same old Sonic RPG, Nazo Unleashed, Super Mario Bros. Z, which are really good and deserve everything they get because they're peak fiction, but Super All-Star Bros. Is the best piece of Sonic fan fiction I've ever seen. It's crazy even calling it fan fiction when the level of production rivals Sega themselves. What really made me realize Super All-Star Bros. Is special is, remember that scene in Sonic Prime? The animated Sprite scene? Remember how everyone clowned and dogged on it because of how terrible it looked because they didn't get a Sprite animator to do a Sprite animation? That's what really showed me that Super All-Star Bros. Is special, that no one talks about. Now, it has 1 million views on YouTube, which is a lot, but compare that to Super Mario Bros. Z, which has so much more. And Nazo Unleashed, which has even more. And I'm not trying to dog on Super Mario Bros. Z or Nazo Unleashed. Again, they're peak fiction and amazing. But Super All-Star Bros. Is just as good, if not better, and people don't acknowledge it. The fight scene between Shadow and Mario, you heard my voice. I was screaming the entire time. It's one of the best fight scenes I've seen, period. Not just in the fact of the sprite animation niche, just in the fact of fight scenes I've seen, period. And if one singular person can make something that special and create a massive celebration of characters that makes you wish it was official, you know you've done something good. Remember this: If you're wishing a piece of fan media was real, that means the creator has done something right. This is the best piece of Sonic fanfiction, and it's not even close. Now again, I have my gripes with it, but the good definitely outweighs the bad. This is what happens when a community comes together. Even the stuff I have a problem with, the Freedom Planet characters, it's still Freedom Planet. It was a genius idea to have Freedom Planet in the story. Freedom Planet was originally going to be a Sonic fan game, so it makes perfect sense for a full circle moment like this. I just want to end off with this. If you want to make something and you're worried about getting hate or flack because it's quote unquote weird, just do it anyway. You never know what you could create. I think of all the time Ian Flynn. He originally created a fan Sonic comic and made fan fictions. Look at him now. He literally wrote Sonic Frontiers. And here's another example. Do you think the creator of Super Mario Bros. Z wasn't a little worried about how people would think of his work? Most definitely, probably. But he did it anyway. Why? Because he has pure passion for Mario, Sonic, and Dragon Ball. And that's why Super All-Star Bros. Is one of the best pieces of Sonic fanfiction. Because it is pure, undiluted passion. A lot of people like to dog on Sonic fanfiction and the fandom in general, saying that it's all just the same, all the stories are the same. To an extent, that's true. But where do you think that stereotype came from? It had to come from somewhere, and that somewhere is Sonic RPG, the series that started the stereotype. You know why? Because Sonic RPG works, and it's good, and imitation is the sincerest form of flattery. I mean, for crying out loud, I literally went down a giant rabbit hole out of the only character I didn't know in this entire thing about Lilac Black, aka Amanthea, I don't know how to say her name. And now, she's one of my favorite fan characters of all time. So again, to conclude, Super All-Star Bros is special because it is a giant celebration of everything. And if you're scared about making a fanfic or something fan-related because you think people will call it quote-unquote weird, just do it anyway, because you never know what you might be bringing to the table. And just like with Ian Flynn and Super Mario Bros. Z, you might even get acknowledged by the official people themselves. So remember, it's okay to have weird projects, it's okay to create. This stuff is special. So cherish it, and make it anyway. I'll see you next time.
The skies ahead are vast and clear. I hold my breath, step up a gear. Feel the wind, smell the air. Chances are everywhere. Our sights are set beyond the moon. Let's show the world what we can do. Dreams are big, eyes are wide. Hear the voice deep inside. Obstacles are no excuse. Come what may, there's nothing to lose. Turbulence won't stop us, we'll keep pulling through.
So now what are you going to do now that the review is over?
Well, I think I just plan on making more videos.
What about that other Sprite series you were talking about? What was it called again?
Oh yeah, the other series. It's called Freedom Fighters.
Are you talking about the one from Sonic?
No, not the one from Sonic. Though it is Sonic related though.
Oh yeah, that's the one that combines Sonic and Freedom Planet together.
It's just the only issue is not a lot of people know Freedom Planet. And this one is definitely more Freedom Planet related.
Well, don't you remember what you said in the review? Just do it. Because you're passionate. Not because of what you think other people will think of you.
I guess you're right. Here, let me show you Freedom Fighters real quick.
chasing vain, worthless people. They're so unfair, expectations everywhere, but out of reach, cause life tones the talentless. Treat equally, but friend and enemy. I truly believe that there is no place for me. I wanna cry in the gaps in my dreams. I'm holding out for an answer, please. Won't someone ever reply to me? Cause I don't know what to believe. We'll light up the darkness, we'll light up the darkness. The curtain of night will lift, blessing us with the sun. Fix me ending if this loop is infinite. This isn't the time for us to give back to lies. Don't ever hold me back, don't ever hold me back. My soul was born for more than anybody else in the city. Was capable of more than just existing. But now I can't imagine there's a future for a cursed man like me. Felt like it, but I intend to fight through all the pain till the end. The world's been waiting for this final moment.
This must be what it's like announcing. This must be what it's like. This must be what it's like being the announcer at. This must be what it's like being the announcer at the Tenkai. Oh my god, this is gonna be so hard. And then Lilac demands. Shut up! And Lilac asks what. And Lilac asks. And Lilac asks. Man, that is so hard. Lilac asks. Okay. That means 4 worlds got fused into one. The Soul Dimension, Sonic's Dimension, Mario's Dimension, and the Freedom Planet Dimension. Bro, who's next? And I'm not trying to dog on Super Mario Bros. Z or Nazo Unleashed. Again, they're peak fishing. The peak fishing. A long time ago when Super R. You thought Lilac was the GOAT? Nah. We got Mr. Filler himself. Terry. Dude, no, that voice guy was awful. Bro, that was terrible. Oh, I gotta put that in like a blooper section. That was awful. That was the worst. Oh, I'm glad I was recording that. That was awful, dude. Oh my god.